and it was pretty much dead. I said, well, what happened? Because it's not true. I just like to try stuff. I'm not gonna do it. No, ma'am. You can use whatever you want to grow your food. From the South is crazy. That's where everybody's son comes from. Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia, and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space out in my backyard. And some days I come outside and I don't really want to do a lot of work like gardening work, but I do want to be outside. And so right now I figure I could go ahead and get my straw back on my Greenstalks for mulching. It's good for holding in the moisture in the soil. And someone asked me a question about like doing a review of Greenstalks. So I've had my Greenstalks for just at a year now. I want to say sometime in May I got my Greenstalks. Someone asked the question like wanting a review, wanting to know what I really thought about Greenstalks. And I feel like it's a perfect time for me to give that review, do that video, just because they're having a really good sale right now. And I know that sometimes people think about buying these and they think about the cost. I know that because I was one of those people. For the first 5 years of me growing, what are we in 2006? The first 4 years pretty much of me growing, I was like, they look really cool. I like all the colors. I like that I can grow so many things in one space, but the cost. And so I put it off for 5 years purchasing a Greenstalk. True story. I figured I would go ahead and do this now because right now it's a good price. When I bought my first one, I actually purchased it at full price and I used someone's $10 discount. I cannot remember. I can't remember whose discount I used. But anyway, I brought my first one and it was the lilac one. The first one that made me really want to buy one is the raspberry, which is the one that is back for Mother's Day, right? But by the time I made the decision that yes, I'm going to buy it, raspberry was no longer available. And that's when I was kind of making the decision, okay, yeah. And then this lilac came out and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And that was the first one that I ever purchased. And then I started growing in them and I was very impressed. Now, when I say I was impressed, there were things that I did not understand, right? Things that just I couldn't wrap my mind around. So I could not wrap my mind around how I was going to put fertilizer in the top of this and it was going to make it all the way down to the bottom without me adding extra water. And so one of the things that when I started doing this, I kept saying, am I going to dilute it? And people were like, well, you have to dilute the fertilizer anyway. What I meant was, is it going to be overly diluted? Because if I put what I'm supposed to put in here, so if I do the dilution the way that the directions say, is it going to reach all the way down to the bottom? What I found out is yes, it does, because I have planters like this one before I put this straw in where I could see it drip. So you put the water or the fertilizer in this top. This is the water reservoir, right? And it has holes in it at the bottom. That moisture goes into this top tier. And then this tier has holes in it, along with a gray tray under it where more of the fertilizer or water will go. So once this fills up and it has enough water, it'll start dripping to the next one and the next one and the next one. Same thing with the gray tray. So what I decided I was gonna do is I was gonna put the fertilizer in it and I was going to watch it through. You also can hear it as it's falling to the next gray tray as well. And so I did that a few times and I realized, okay, this does work. Might I have to put the fertilizer through twice depending on what I'm growing? Yes, I might have to do that. And for me, that's not a big deal because the way I see it, I'm only standing in one place having to water. I water by hand and fertilize by hand my entire garden. So if I have to fertilize this more than once just through the top, I'm okay with that. Now, what I will tell you also, for instance, I'll show you the planter that I'm talking about. I have a leek and potato soup planter. I have leeks at the top, I have potatoes in the middle, and I have celery at the bottom. I fertilize those a little bit different. At least that's what I was doing when I first planted them out. The leeks were getting something that had more nitrogen and the potatoes was getting just an all-purpose type fertilizer. Yes, sometimes I do fertilize each pocket separately. And for me, again, not a big deal to me because if I was fertilizing my garden by hand, then I would be going to each plant and fertilizing anyway. And so for me, that's not a big deal. I do still struggle with watering. And so that's something that I'm just gonna be honest with y'all about, because what I found is once you get a green stalk too wet, it's gonna take some time, especially if it's not super hot yet, for it to dry out. But you also have to make sure you keep it moistened. And I've seen people where they say that they have to water every day. I have not had to water every day, even in the heat of the summer. But what I will say is I take time to like really deeply moisten my green stalks, because that's another way that you're gonna make sure that they don't blow over. That's one of the things they tell you is make sure that they are well watered, because that's what's gonna weigh it down. Well watered and on level surfaces. None of mine are on a level surface, and I have gotten lucky. I've only had one blow over. A lot of people want to know, are they sturdy enough not to blow over? Yes, they are. And I think I told y'all in my last video, I have 17 green stalks, y'all. I haven't given the one to my mom yet, but I actually have 17 green stalks. Do you need that many green stalks? Absolutely not. Also, if you're not new here, my videos are not scripted. I just go as I'm talking. So at least we all know that eventually I'm probably going to talk about everything. But if I don't and you still have a question, you can leave a comment and I'll try to answer it. But what were we talking about? So having it well watered is a big thing for growth and for it blowing over or not blowing over. Also, this is a straw that we took off of other places. That's what I'm putting back on the green stalks. I have it in a box down here. I actually have 2 boxes full of it, but I don't want to have to keep bending over. So I'm leaving the box up here and then I come and just refill this. It's the best I could do. So as I was saying, people also want to know, like, how often do I water? I do not technically have a schedule. I come to check to see, and I can tell when it's not well watered. If I don't have to use any kind of force to turn this, chances are it needs to be watered. The next thing I do, if that is the case, is I stick my finger down into the soil. So if my finger goes into the soil and there is no moisture, and I try to stick it down at least to the middle, to what is that, my knuckle, to see. If there is no moisture, then I water. I don't actually have a schedule of when I water. It's kind of the same thing with my garden. At this point in the gardening season, I turn the sprinkler on. I will leave my sprinkler on for 2 to 4 hours. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all, but that waters it very deeply. And having the mulch on the soil, even in the green stalks, is helpful too, because it holds the moisture in. So I do a lot of deep watering, and that's just my thing that I do. And then that way I don't have to water so much. And it is no different with the green stalks. But what I was saying when we went up on the porch is that I do still struggle with watering them. So sometimes I do overwater them. I will show you my strawberries where I have overwatered, which is not a big deal to me because strawberries send out runners so quickly that I can just replace those plants. But I know it's overwatering. I know it's not because they were too dry, because one of the things that I do is overwater. But a good tip is to make sure you put your hands down into the soil, put your finger down into the soil, or you can use one of those soil meters that tell you if your soil is moist or not. I've seen people do that. My friend who now has 6 green stalks, that's what he does. I think he has a meter, because every time he would say something was going on and I would be like, looks like overwatering, or it looks like you need to water. And I would say, did you put your finger in the soil? I think he just doesn't like putting his finger in the soil, which is fine. So I'm pretty sure he purchased one of those. I was watching something, I don't know what. So I'm pretty sure he purchased one of those. I think we're gonna come back to this one because it's gonna take a lot of work for me to like move the strawberries. So we'll come back to that one. We'll go over here. And so if you're not new here, you do know that I'm an affiliate of Greenstalks. If you use my link, I get a commission and I very much appreciate it. But I also want people to know that even if I am an affiliate of a product, and if I don't like the product, I'm not gonna keep talking about the product. And as much as I talk about Greenstalks, and as many Greenstalks as I have, that I keep nurturing, that I keep planting, it's because I do really like the product. And I do think that it is a great way to grow if you're in a small space. I think that even if you have other space, that it's a great way to maximize your space. For instance, I have a whole garden that I grow, but I could never grow this many more plants in the space that I have. I wouldn't be able to put in a garden bed that gave me 30 plants in 2 square feet of space. And so yes, even though I have space and I have have a full garden and I have greenhouses, I also can grow more using these Greenstalks. And I actually really love them, which is why I'm always telling y'all about them. And I know some people just don't think that they're necessary, and that's okay, because let me be clear, I actually also really love the colors. And so that's probably why I have so many too, because I like color and I like the fact that these can help me bring so much color to my backyard. My son came out here the other day. He was like, the Greenstalks are really cool. He was like, imagine if we had a whole backyard full of Greenstalks. So we like things like this. For me, gardening is about growing food, but it's also about having a space that I like, that is pretty, that I want to come to, that I want to spend time in. Like I said, today, I don't feel like doing a lot of work. I came out here earlier, pulled carrots that weren't ready to pull just because I wanted to be out here and I wanted to be doing something. Oh, y'all, we pulled all the garlic in the greenhouse because pretty much all of it had allium leaf miner. So we pulled that. We're gonna let it go back down into the soil. But back to the Greenstalks. If I did not like them, I would not tell you about them so much. Someone wanted to know what my favorite color was of the Greenstalks that I have. My favorite one is definitely the blackberry. Purple is my favorite color, and I love a deep purple. Like, I like the lilac. That's the one that got me started in this, but the color that I really like the most is the blackberry. Next would be the raspberry. Honestly, after raspberry, it would be the strawberry, the pink one, then the lilac, then the yellow, and everything else is just pretty much, I like the, oh, and the black. So the black would just be in general, y'all, because black is just a great color overall. So yeah, anyway, those are the colors that I really like. And I was asked the question about, like, what soil do I use? I personally like to use Burger BM6. It's a soil that I get locally, right? A lot of people have not had a lot of success being able to get it at all. And so with my 5-tier raspberry, I decided that I would try just putting Fox Farm in it, because I was also able to find Fox Farm at a really good deal around me too. Fox Farm is the soil that Greenstalk recommends. They don't say that you have to use it. They basically just say to use a quality potting soil, something that's light and something that's loamy. For this raspberry right here, we only put Fox Farm in it for the first year, Happy Frog. I didn't add anything else to it. But when I put together a lot of these, I have black cow compost mixed in, lightly mixed in with the Burger BM6 soil, because you don't want the soil to be too heavy per the recommendations of Greenstalk. I never have put just plain black cow in here. That's not something that I tried. I don't think it's something that I'm willing to try. Greenstalk says quality soil, light loamy soil. Burger BM6 is a all-purpose soil. It's kind of like Pro Mix. When I go to my local feed and seed, that's the name that you see. It says Pro Mix, but it's not the name brand Pro Mix. I think that Pro Mix will work just fine. I've seen people put Pro Mix in there. You don't have to use Happy Frog. Happy Frog is what they recommend, but I also know Happy Frog is a bit expensive. Even though I found it at a good deal compared to other deals, it's still slightly expensive for garden soil. I'm getting it for $16.99. So a nice, loamy, good quality soil, but does not have to be Fox Farm. And for me, that's what Burger BM6 is. Burger BM6 is a 3.8 cubic foot. I'm looking down there because I got a bag. 3.8 cubic foot bag of soil that I can get for, I want to say $32. I have found that it took 2.75 for me. I know somebody said it takes 2.5, but I did not have a whole half of Happy Frog left. So I'm saying it took 2.75 bags to fill it up, which would be 3 bags, which would be more expensive than $32, which is what I pay for Burger BM6. And with Burger BM6, I still have some soil left over. So I think Pro Mix comes in large bags like that. Now, I don't know how much Pro Mix costs because I've never been able to find it at a good price. But for me, like I was saying with the Happy Frog, $16 is much cheaper than the $30 I was paying for it when I first found it. I think I did that 3 times and I was like, I know I gotta be able to find soil cheaper. I shared over here in the community section, there's a place called Petersburg Trading where I live, and they're selling it for $16.99. I went to get some the other day when I got my 2-3 tier. They were all sold out. And I was like, oh no. So I went with Burger BM6. Now I will tell you, Burger BM6, I I do add black cow compost. I mix it in lightly, like maybe 1 bag of black cow to a whole 3.8 cubic feet of Virga BM6. And then I do also add some granulated fertilizer, maybe bone meal, blood meal too, just depending on how I'm feeling that day that I'm filling up the Greenstalk. So it just kind of depends. With Happy Frog though, I can just, well, that's my plan. That's what I'm trying to do here. Just fill it up with the Happy Frog the first year, and that's how I'm gonna see how it does. I don't know what is wrong with this plant, y'all. It just died. And it wasn't the whole plant. There's still a piece. I'm gonna leave it. I think that's a plant that, it's a flower that's sensitive to water. Enough or not enough water, but we gonna find out, because it was looking great yesterday. I came back out yesterday evening and it was pretty much dead. I said, well, what happened? So that's my spiel on the soil. Now, the things that I have grown or feel like I can't grow in here, I'm gonna be honest with you. And it's only been a year for me, because there are a lot of videos out there saying, don't grow this or don't grow that, right? So don't take this as this is the only thing, because don't take nothing on my channel to mean that this is it, this is all. Because everybody garden's different. And I say it all the time, and I'm gonna keep saying it in videos at this time of the year, because we have so many new gardeners. And I don't want anybody to come to this channel thinking that what I said is just, that's it, because it's not true. So what I was gonna say is, I personally, right now, I don't think there's anything that I can't grow in the Greenstalks. I have grown zucchini. Mind you, it was a variety that doesn't vine. It was a bush variety, and it did get pretty big, but I was able to stake it. And so I know somebody was like, I wouldn't recommend putting zucchini in there. I've grown it before in there, which is why I'm growing it again. And this year, I'm also gonna try to grow cucumbers, but a bushing variety. I did put cucumbers in last year, but I put them at the bottom, which I think was just a really bad idea. And then I didn't have the correct trellising. And so with that being the case, we're trying again this year. The seeds are getting started now, and we're gonna see how that goes, but we are gonna use some good trellising this year, which is more than likely going to be the Greenstalk trellising, the big one that I said I was not a big fan of. And I still can't tell you if I'm a fan of it because I have not used it, but we are going to try it this year. Because if I'm honest, if you go to Greenstalks YouTube or their Instagram, they grow all kinds of stuff in these Greenstalks. I'm talking corn, I'm talking sunflowers. They grow all kind of things, like not miniature sunflowers, like full sunflowers. And for me, y'all know, even just in my regular garden, not just these Greenstalks, I just like to try stuff. And so for sure, you are going to see me just try stuff. Okay, I tell you what I wouldn't try. I wouldn't, although I have seen people do it, and I'm pretty sure I saw it on the Greenstalk website, but I could be wrong. Indeterminate tomato. Like, I feel like you could use a long enough stake to make that work, but I feel like it would just be a hassle. So I think that you can. I don't think that I will though. Potatoes. I just was like, I'm pretty sure I saw Greenstalk do it. And so I did it. And last year I did a full yellow one, the lemon one, not too long after I got it. And I did have good success in the top, and I didn't at the bottom, but it also was shaded a little bit. This year I put them in a space where they shouldn't be shaded, and I am trying potatoes again. I am actually trying potatoes in more than one. The way I look at it, as long as, and I say this about my main garden, as long as your garden is not your main way of eating, I always say give things a try. And I don't think growing in a Greenstalk is any different. I don't think it's any different. I really treat my Greenstalks the same way that I treat my garden. I'm gonna try things in it. I do think mulching helps it. It does work. I don't personally have mine on any kind of drip because Greenstalk does have a watering system where I think you attach it to your water hose, and then when you turn the water hose on, it'll water every last one of them from the top. But I just personally really like watering my garden. Now, in the heat of the summer, it's definitely not as fulfilling and not as fun. I like to water, I'm getting that stuff everywhere, y'all. Anyway, I like to water my Greenstalks on my own, but you can get the watering system. Somebody asked me a question. I should have looked through my questions before I started this, but honestly, I decided to just turn the camera on because I was out here doing this, and I was like, oh, I could talk while I do this. Somebody asked me like if they're tomato, and I don't think I got her back around to answering your comment. I'm so sorry. If that was you, I do apologize. I remembered it, but I never got back around to, I think it was when I was on my staycation. Anywho, they asked like if some of their plants were ready to be planted and other plants weren't, how could they go back and plant it? Because I think that was on my video where I was planting this one, and so it was unstacked. But even once it's stacked, you can just dig down, and I have some videos where I've planted after it's been stacked. You can just dig down into the pocket. If you want to do any kind of fertilizing, you can fertilize that pocket specifically and just plant your plant in it. I've never had a problem doing that. This year, for instance, I didn't take any of my Greenstalks down to amend them or to fertilize. This one was down because it was brand new, but you can absolutely just go into the, like this pocket is empty. I'm gonna be putting a sunflower in here, which they're really close to ready to plant. I'm just gonna move this straw out of the way. I'm gonna dig a hole. If I do have any amendments, which I don't think I will because I just put this together, I'm just gonna drop it down in here. And I can do that the same way all the way down this Greenstalk. So if you have plants that's ready, I would say you can go ahead and plant those, and then when the others are ready, just go ahead and put them in there, because you don't have to plant the whole thing at one time. Kind of the same way as like when I pull a plant out, if I'm gonna put another plant in, I just amend that hole. I just amend that pocket that it's going into, and then I plant it. It's really not a big deal, honestly. You don't have to unstack these every time. And the way my body is set up, I'm very happy for that, because I'm not gonna be unstacking these every time. I'm not gonna do it, no ma'am. So I think I'm gonna unstack them one season. Like maybe I'll do it in the fall this year. I'm not gonna unstack anything. I'm gonna ask my son to unstack these in fall. And then I'm gonna amend them, break up the soil, get out any big pieces of root if I need to, and then have my son stack them back, and then I'll grow through them in fall, and then I'll do my spring planting. More than likely my summer planting too. I'm thinking I'm gonna do one granulated per year, and then I'm gonna do liquid fertilizer throughout the season. That is my plan, y'all. So to answer your question, you can just literally drop your new seedling in when you're ready, even if it is already stacked. You might lose a little bit of soil. That happens. Shouldn't be a lot if you are being careful when you're digging through the soil. I don't lose a lot of soil. I showed it on a video one time before that I don't lose a lot of soil when I'm amending and planting and they're already stacked. I'm just kind of careful. I use my Hori knife. That thing is amazing for the Greenstalks because it's just as long as the Greenstalks. You can literally hit the bottom of the pocket with the Hori. So I love that for this. So it lets me dig deep, drop things down pretty deep. That's my answer to that. So another question I get is, how often do I fertilize? How do I fertilize? It depends on what's in here as to how I fertilize, because sometimes I fertilize through the top, and that's if pretty much everything in here needs the same thing. Like these are all flowers. I will fertilize through the top because whatever I put in here is gonna be good for flowers. But let's just say I had some greens and some flowers. I might fertilize each pocket separately, or I might just get an all-purpose fertilizer and hope that that works. Because I like to fertilize my greens with fish emulsion. I just like to, because fish emulsion is very high in nitrogen, and green leafy growth comes from nitrogen. And so with that being the case, I would like to do it with the nitrogen heavy fertilizer. But if not, I could just put an all-purpose through the top. I use organic. You can use whatever fertilizer you want to. You might see, you know, organic is better. You shouldn't use synthetics. You can use whatever you want to grow your food. Oh, another question I was asked is, how do I decide what I'm going to grow with what in the Greenstalks? So the way I see it is the same way with my garden. I don't really do companion planting, right? But let's just say I saw that I wasn't supposed to do something, I did it anyway, and it did not work. For instance, when I put those onions with my beans, and I want to say the beans didn't do well and neither did the onions, right? But my onions for real don't do good anyway, because I keep getting allium leaf miner. But let's just say I did something and it did not work out. I won't plant that again in my Greenstalk either. So for instance, the other day when I was planting out my beans, I was gonna throw extra beans into one of these onion Greenstalks. And then I remember, oh no, we won't be doing that, because we actually did that and it did not work. But if you wanted to go by like the rules, I don't go by most of the rules, but if I've done it and that rule proved to be true, I'm not gonna do it, because that would be my experience and I know that it does not work. But if you wanted to go by the rules, you can Google companion planting, and then let's say you wanted to plant beans and onions, you could Google your companion planting rules on the Google and it would tell you, no, don't put onions with green beans. And then you would know not to put onions with green beans. I personally just plant the stuff in here. Now, what I will tell you is I learned last year, and that's what I said, I plant based off what I have learned. So last year I learned that like putting a bunch of tomatoes or peppers on the same tier, not the best idea, right? Unless you have a good way to trellis them, a good way to keep them from making your life hard. And there are people who do full green stalks with peppers and tomatoes. So I'm not saying you should not, I'm saying I don't. What I was gonna say is I plant them kind of going down the green stalk. So they're in a row, but they're not right beside each other. So the chances of having them shade each other or shade other plants are kind of slim because of the way that I decided to plant them. And I'll show y'all that too. So I need to show y'all the leek and potato soup green stalk, and I need to show y'all how I planted my tomatoes. I didn't do my peppers like that, I don't think. Maybe I did some of them, but they just kind of are out here because I have a plan to trellis all of them. But I think by the time I got around to planting peppers, I just was like, let's get these peppers in here. Because most of my garden is pretty much planted, including the green stalks. But when the onions finish, then I will have to plant those too. And I think I'm gonna probably start some seeds tomorrow to replace this stuff. So far, I've just been doing beans in the green stalk because they grow like really well in the green stalk. Any of your leafy greens grow well in green stalks. And so like we still have collards here. This one is leaning over, something I probably need to try to stake it, but we still have collards, we still have Swiss chard, we still have garlic. Oh, I didn't know my dog was out here. We still have garlic. So marigolds grow really well in here. Nasturtiums do really nice in the green stalks. What else, y'all? My tomatoes did really good in the green stalk last year. I did purple rain. So they were basically a miniature variety. They did really good in the green stalks too last year. The zucchini in the fall did really good in the green stalk. So if you are interested, just realize I missed some of these in growing zucchini. Find a variety that is kind of small. I use Emerald Delight. It's from Botanical Interest. I have a link for Botanical Interest too. I'm an affiliate. Want to say you get 5% off over there with my affiliate link. And I think my code as well. It's all down in the description though if you're interested. I missed a couple pockets over here. I don't know if I said that, so I came back. But yeah, it's called Emerald Delight and it grew really well. I actually have a seed bundle with green stalk that has Emerald Delight in it. So you could get it at either spot if that's something you wanted to do. But I will tell you, my seed bundle has a lot of green leafy vegetables, lots of kale, because when I picked my seeds, I wanted to do things that I had already grown and I knew they worked. And at the time, because it had only been like a year, little under a year, I knew that those things worked. Oh, basil does really good in here too. I'm trying to look around at the stuff that's in here. We need to go get some more straw. Oh, lettuce. Lettuce does really good. Eggplant does really good. Chives, all of your herbs. Like, I just think mostly anything does well in here, but I think you also got to look at the variety that you're growing. So y'all, I've been talking for 40 minutes about green stalks. That's how much I actually like them. And if somebody else is on the fence about trying them, especially if you're in a small space and this is how you're going to be able to grow, I want you to know that like, it's not just something I talk about because I'm an affiliate. It's not just something I talk about, puppy. No, please. Girl, you want to go in the house? Do you want to go in the house? Come on. Y'all, puppy is spoiled. I don't know if y'all can hear her whining. She will whine and whine and whine and whine until you do what she wants you to do. Baby, if you don't shut that noise up, you better. Anyway, what I was saying is I wanted to do this video while they were at a nice deal, the Mother's Day sale, which is $50 off any of the planters, the 3, the 5, or the 7 tier. So it's $50 off. And then they have other door busters. One of the things that I really like is the spinner base, probably my favorite. The spinner base is, I get it without wheels, so that's like $40. Get it when it's on sale because it is $40, but I think it's my favorite. I really like the lids too. Keeps all of the debris out. Those are my 2 favorite accessories, right? But I also really like the little green trellises for like my beans and my more bushy plants. I'll show y'all those too. Oh, this is the leek and potato soup green stalk I was telling y'all about. So see, we have the leeks at the top. the top 2 tiers, we have potatoes in the 2 middle tiers. And then at the bottom, we have some celery. My celery is getting shaded, something terrible. And then my other green stalk, without the shade, they're doing amazing. So next year, the celery will go in the middle tiers and then the leeks and stuff, because I do plan to do this again. Seems to be working well. See, when I say the spinner base, I can just turn that. I can turn it while I'm doing maintenance, or I can turn it just to get it to the sun. So either way, I really like it. It's one of the things that I buy every time, whether it's on sale or whether it is not. When I bought my 2-3 tier, I bought it because it is necessary for me to make sure that I can turn it to the sun, because my sun comes from the south. No, not from the south. All sun comes from the south, baby. My sun comes from over there. From the south is crazy. That's where everybody's sun comes from. I just want to throw it out there. Like I said, in case you on the fence, I think we got, what, 7 days left by the time that this video comes out. If you've been on the fence and you've been thinking about it, I just wanted to give you more information, not pushing you to buy one or to not buy one. I always just like to share about what I like. So like I said, not saying buy one, not saying don't buy one. Simply just talking about why I like them. I honestly don't have any dislikes about them. I don't. I feel like they are worth the money. Very good quality. They stayed out here all winter. Nothing cracked. I had one fall over. Nothing cracked. Nothing broke. For me, I don't have any dislikes about them. I already grow in containers. So for me, the need to water a little bit more when it gets really hot is not like anything different from the fact that my bags need to be watered more often too. Oh, so the other day I came out here, I watered every pocket, and then I let water run through the top 2 or 3 times. So I watered it very deeply. And if you have plants that are this big, when they're small, you don't need to do stuff like that. Like, that's how some of my strawberries are dying. Because I realized they probably don't have that many roots down just yet. But big old potatoes, nice size leeks, yeah, the roots are going to need that water, and they're probably filling up a lot of the soil in here too. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what's in here, but that's what I do. And I learned that that's a good idea to do sometime in the summer last year, because things do dry out faster when it is hot, and especially if it's a container. That's any container, not just Greenstalks. So I learned that, and then I could go a few days when it's really hot without watering if I did deep watering. And maybe if y'all are interested, let me know. Are you interested in watching me do that and see what I actually do? I don't know. If you are, let me know. I also haven't had the straw on here. So once I have everything with straw on, I probably won't even have to do that as often, because the straw is going to help hold in the moisture. Y'all, my allergies trying to get me. It's trying to choke me up. I can feel it going in my throat. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this, because it looks like I've been talking for 47 minutes. I know that's going to be some moving the camera and stuff. I don't want this video to be like super long, but I did want to come talk about the Greenstalks, talk about how I take care of them, talk about why I like them, honestly, because that's what I'm talking about. I don't have anything that I dislike about them. I like them all. Oh, I will tell you, when we were gonna have a lot of wind, I did take off the top layer. Like we were forecasted to have just a whole bunch of wind. And I was like, so I took off the top layer and I was fine. So like 5 tier, I left 4 tier. Now on the 7 tier, I took 2 off and left 5 tiers. So in case you don't know what the 7 tier looks like, they're about the same height, but the pockets are shorter. So I took these 2 off and only left 5 down here, and nothing blew over. I think that was a good idea. When we are not having super crazy weather, like they were saying we were gonna have like really strong gusts. If it's not super strong, I don't do anything. And then I just hope that they don't fall over. And like I said, mine fall over or have. That one fell over because nothing is really level back here and I did not level it. Best practice, level it. I just didn't do it, because if you're not new here, you know I don't do that kind of stuff. Anyway, these are the other trellises I was telling y'all about. I really like them for the beans, because you can put 3 beans into 1 pocket. They do really well at wrangling the beans, trellising the beans up here. So, tomatoes, when I was saying, so these are miniature tomatoes. So I just take them and move them down. So they're planted down and around, as opposed to like all on 1 tier or like all of them right here. They just go down down and around. That's just how I did it. I think it'll do better this year for me. Oh, and I mentioned to y'all that I had celery growing here too in another one. This is it. This is my first time really successfully growing celery, and I could not be more excited, y'all. So celery grows well in the Greenstalks too. But anywho, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. If you have any more questions, go ahead and put them down in the comments. I'll answer them if I can. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram, where I post about the things going on in my garden almost every day. Bye, y'all.